made you choose Alabama, and what was that like being kind of coached by him a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, to this day, I love Mike. I mean, Coach Shula was, I mean, kind of the reason why I ended up at Alabama. You know, I just remember him uh, having a energy and a spirit about him that like just felt so genuine. Like during the recruiting process, you know, you meet with all these coaches, you know, at the time, all these SEC schools, a lot of the other schools you're meeting with, and you know, sometimes it just comes down to seriously, like who do you feel like you have a genuine connection to throughout the process? You know, I might have met maybe with 15 or 20 different coaches at the time, and you know, I will admit I was biased. I did grow up an Alabama fan, so that did help. But I felt like I had a genuine connection with Mike, and when he would come into the house and sit down with my family, everyone would always leave with that same feeling like, man, this guy is genuine. Like, of course, he sees you as a talent and wants you to play ball, but I always felt like even when ball was over with, he would be someone that I could pick up the phone if I ever needed to call or discuss anything or lean on him for anything, which he still is to this day. So, you know, I think I was right about him and just always had a genuine connection, and I feel like that was what kind of led me to going to Alabama.
And then you had the I don't know if it's fortune or misfortune working. Well, I know it's fortune with Coach Saban. Like I know that your senior season, I think you guys were outscoring opponents like 360 points to 120. You're undefeated until the championship game. Sorry, and then the Sugar Bowl. But we know that
just had to do that, didn't he? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we might have been up in the fourth quarter by one point. I mean, I'm over it. I'm over it, of course.
But we know that it set the tone for Coach Saban's legacy. So you get all the credit, you know, as the captain of the O-line. You call the huddle, you bring people in. Like, how was Coach Saban different from Coach Shula, and what did you learn from him that impacted you when you went on to the pros and even today in your life?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a pretty stark contrast, right? I think between Coach Shula and Coach Saban. I think when Nick came in, he was different because you already knew he had a pedigree, right? You knew about what he did at LSU. You knew what he was attempting to do in Miami. And I kind of just remember being like, man, you know, didn't know a whole lot about him, but knew that what he was going to bring, his reputation was going to be a stark difference than what we had in Coach Shula. And I remember from the first team meeting, you know, like I've told this story before, and fortunately or unfortunately it's true, but our first team meeting, we're kind of just sitting in there and just being dumb college kids, just, you know, leaning back in your chair, throwing paper planes in the team meeting while Nick's walking up to the podium. And, you know, all of us are just kind of sitting around, playing around. And he kind of unassumingly puts his paper up on the podium, puts the microphone down, and he goes, hey, before we get started, I just want to tell everybody that everyone kind of just needs to sit up in their chairs. Everybody's like throwing papers and pens and everything go flying around. You know, I kind of just remember from that day forward, like, man, this dude means business. You know, so that after that first team meeting, you know, kind of after that, you know, I knew then, like, hey, this is going to be kind of a different feel than what we're used to. But I remember Nick saying throughout that after that meeting, hey, this is going to be a different intensity level. It's going to require a different focus. But I knew when he was talking, he's already done it, right? There is something to someone that has accomplished some of the goals that you're trying to achieve. So it kind of hit and landed with a lot of us differently, having Nick in the building. And obviously, there's no way you can deny and argue how everything ended up turning out.